So as a penniless graduate student, it's really important to me that I be able to make my money go as far as possible. So today I'm commissioning a study to figure out exactly how far I can make money go. So my first trial on this is to take the classic paper money, and I have a theory. My first hypothesis here is that I can use paper money to go the farthest because, harkening back to my grade school years here, where we used to take our homework and fold them into paper-based aircraft. You can take a dollar bill, just like so, and also form it into something that looks, I don't know, vaguely aircraft-like. So, try number one, dollar bill paper airplanes. All right, so we're out in our airfield with our $5 worth of paper airplanes, even though money isn't made of paper. But anyways, so we got darts. We've got a couple of gliders, and then a crane, because cranes are birds and birds can fly. And then we're gonna measure how far they go. All right, here goes a dart. And that is just about 3 meters. Get ourselves one of the gliders. When I throw the crane like a plane, it doesn't go very far. But if I throw it like I'm trying to throw a rock, it goes farther. Considerably farther. Like 5 meters farther. So I know I said I was penniless, but I rooted around and I managed to find this handful of pennies. And I figured, sticking with our currency theme here, I would just start chucking the pennies out into the field to see how far I could make them go, and compare that to how far the dollars went. Ah, there it is. Shiny. Alright, so what are we at here? This is 10, almost 10.5 meters. Well, that's way better than the stupid paper airplanes. So we have lots of really exciting data now, but before we analyze all that data, I have to admit that I was not expecting that to work very well. So about 2 months ago, I ordered some very cheap drone parts from China, and they arrived fairly recently, and I put them together into this fairly inexpensive hobby drone. I'm going to claim for the purposes of this video that this drone costs about $100, which would be true if you already had things like an RC receiver and an FPV headset. Oh, and the cameras that you put on these so that you can drive it. So this is a $100 drone if you only count the frame, the motors, the flight controller, and the propellers. So it's mostly $100. But importantly, let's see how this performs now against the money that we previously were throwing around. So we're walking down range here. Got all the good stuff. Got drones and controllers, and there's a big hill here, but drones and controllers, and we're gonna see how far we can fly this thing. It should be mentioned that sort of the way FPV drone works is that you're transmitting a control signal to the FPV drone, and that actually controls, how fast it goes, what orientation it has, so on and so forth. And then the FPV drone actually transmits back a signal, which is the camera view, and that goes to your headset. So what I see in the headset looks something like this, where it's really staticky, and hard to see, especially as you get farther. What the drone actually sees before it actually transmits that is fine. It's a nice camera. So I can show you what the drone saw after it crashed, or as it was crashing. But you'll note that I didn't see all of that. I just sort of saw it blink out of existence, and then my controller started complaining that it had lost the control link. That's the link to the drone, not from the drone. And at the same time, I was losing the link from the drone, so I could also not see what it was doing. Okay, so we ran back over here. I know it must be close. You can't see this. So I can see the signal, and the remote says that we've got a 10 RSI, and I can kind of hear it. Let's see. Ah, here we are. Sorry, we lost signal. Whoops, right about here. Still in one piece though. Hold on, let me turn that off. Let's check the GPS and see how far we went. It is time for the most exciting portion of the video, which is the data analysis. If you want to be a real scientist, this matters a lot though, so stay with me for like a minute and a half here. So basically what we've done, I threw all the data that we collected into Excel. For each of the actual currencies, we collected 8 data points, which is just the measured distance that they went, and then for the drone we only had the one because we just had one flight before I broke it, and then we figured out the distance based on GPS coordinates. So I took the GPS coordinates for the start, GPS coordinates for the end, plugged that into Google Maps, got a single distance which we'll analyze over here. So starting here first with the dart shaped paper airplane made of $1, we found that the maximum distance I was able to throw that was about 5 meters. 5.19 meters, and because the cost of that device is $1 because it was made from a $1 bill, what we're using as a metric here is sort of this made up thing that I'm calling cost per meters. So I take the cost $1 and I divide it by the number of meters the device was able to go. In this case, it went about 5.2 meters, and that comes out of a cost about 19 cents per meter. That makes sense. So it costs about 19 cents to go 1 meter with the dart. Similarly with the glider, I was only able to get the glider to go about 3 1/3 meter. So that means that its cost per meter was about 29 cents, about 30 cents. The dollar crane was actually the big winner for the paper money, because the dollar crane was able to go 5.39 meters. Which means that it had a cost per meter of about 18 cents, 19 cents-ish. So actually, interestingly enough, the dollar dart and the dollar crane are pretty similar in terms of cost. Now, the penny. The penny is sneaky. Because the penny is only a cent, which is, of course, 1/100th of $1, $0.01, and I was able to throw a penny about 13 meters. That means the cost per meter for the penny was something like, what is that, 8/1000th of a cent, which is actually really good. So basically with cost per meter, ideally, if we want to make our money go farthest, then we want the lowest cost per meter, right? So if it costs the least amount to go 1 meter, then we should, at any 1 unit of money, be able to go farthest, right? So if it only costs 8/1000th of a cent to go 1 meter, then, that means we could go many meters. I'm not going to try and do the math in my head. We could go many meters with a single dollar, right? As opposed to just going like 3 or 5 meters, which is what the dollars went. But the final, drum roll please, final result for the drone. So the drone went 494 meters before I lost contact with it and it crashed back to Earth. And since we're claiming that the drone costs $100 to make, which is questionably true, but we'll go run with it, that means that it had a cost per meter of 20 cents. Yeah. So the drone is actually no better than folding a dollar bill into a paper airplane and just chucking it as far as you can. So the big winner here, the pennies. If you want your money to go farthest, what you should do, apparently, is go out into a field and just chuck pennies into oblivion. That's the most efficient use of your money. Don't buy drones. Just chuck them arbitrarily out into a field and your money's going farthest.